You think you've won? Play that tape and see what comes next. She slid a battered recorder across the table. The hiss of old tape filled the silence between them. You don't scare me, go ahead, wreck yourself. The man's knuckles went white, lamps flickered in the dry air, dust motes spinning. A brittle laugh broke out. You always were desperate, this changes nothing. Her voice was flat. Press play, or are you afraid of your own voice? His finger hovered, trembling. I said do it, right now. In front of everyone. Silence. Only the ragged sound of his breath filled the room. The moment cracked, tense as a gunshot. How did it come to this? 2 people in a forgotten hotel room, futures hanging on a single recording. 8 weeks earlier, this ending would have seemed impossible. $42.16. That was all Alina Hayes had left, plus 10 wrinkled bills in her pocket, a last-ditch tank of gas, and 2 cardboard boxes wedged behind her driver's seat. She squinted through fading light and spitting rain at the battered county sign, Claymore, Willow County, Iowa. The wind whipped her hair against the window as she braked in front of the deserted farmhouse, its porch sagging, paint flaked down to gray wood. Next to her, 12-year-old Lily tapped the phone cupped in her lap, voice small. Did you have to sell your mixer, Mom? The way her daughter said mixer, soft as regret, with the T somewhere in the back of her throat, pinched tighter than the cold. Alina forced a smile and twisted her key to off. We just make do for now, baby. I ever tell you about baking bread with a fork and a bowl? Lily blinked, mouth drawn taut. But why do we have to live here? Grandpa's house was bigger. We don't have that house anymore, Alina said, the words coming out like chipped ice. Let's get our stuff. There's a bed in there, not much else, but it's dry. Lightning stroked the fields, shadows shivering. The farmhouse loomed, barely holding together, windows boarded or missing, porch dipped like a toothless grin. Alina pressed the cash receipt in her coat pocket, remembering the jeers behind her as she'd signed the handover 20 hours ago. Dale and Loretta Birchfield, her ex-husband's parents, had watched with thin smiles. Look at her pretending like she's proud. Alina, you sure you want this dump? I'd have paid the junkman good money to clear it out, Dale had announced, his voice high and curling. Loretta had poured sweet tea into a chipped glass with too much emphasis. You understand, you get the hotel, every evaporating square foot of it. No takebacks, no complaints later, honey. That's all Micah left you. Hope you like raccoons. Behind them, Alina's cousin-in-law had coughed, then whispered to the gathered relatives. Next time, she'll know to sign a prenup if she thinks she can divorce her way to comfort. Alina had only stared at the transfer document, page yellowed, edges curling. The old 5-room hotel was all that remained, the rest tied up, parceled away, or already sold. They'd given her this as a parting shot, a scrap, an insult, like offering a coat made of holes to someone freezing. Now, as she shouldered the first box out of the car, Lily's breath puffed in the sharp air. Why is the porch so crooked? What if it falls? It held up this long. I'll check every board, Alina replied, fingers numb, determination flinty. She ran her hand along the warped rail. Something was odd. Near the steps, wood slats met at precise angles, newer nails beside rotted ones. For a second she caught the scent of oiled hinges out of place. She pressed in a little, felt one board flex almost like a lever. Mom. Nothing, sweetheart. But she kept her palm flat on that plank. It was small, but it was something. A question hiding inside a rotten frame, a puzzle piece passed over all these years. If you've ever had your future crumpled up, spat out, and felt one small riddle tug at the edge, stay with this story. It's not over yet. The interior of the farmhouse had surrendered to gray dust and brittle air. Alina swept her flashlight back and forth, Lily trailing, her backpack slapping against her coat. Boards groaned underfoot. As she edged around the empty fireplace in the narrow front hall, she tried the switch, no power. She fumbled for a candle, struck a match, and caught a sharp-edged scent of wax. Don't step on that, she warned, nodding at a black rag peeking from a loose tile. Lily crouched low and poked it. It's just cloth, old uniform maybe. Alina peered closer. Or someone's rag doll, she ventured, but the cloth was strangely heavy, slick with age. She untied a knot in the fabric and found, to her surprise, a rotted key on the inside. She rubbed away grime. The letters CH were stamped into the handle with a small star next to them. Lily's eyebrows arched. "Cabin Hotel," she whispered. "That's what they used to call this." Alina nodded, heart thumping. She pocketed the key. Upstairs was worse, floor caved in, tin ceiling buckled, mildew crawling up the attic doorframe. Only the first floor, with its 5 battered rooms, looked passable. In the kitchen, a wooden hatch in the floor was half exposed, old coal scarring its rim. She yanked, but it wouldn't give. Lily offered the rusted key, hopeful. Alina tried it, hands shaking. The lock shifted, then popped with a brittle snap. The hatch jerked upward, cold air blasting out, smelling of earth, rust, and something else, like cedar. At the edge, a staircase dropped into darkness. Thunder startled them both. Lily jumped back. "You're not really going down there, are you?" Alina blew out a shaky sigh. "I'll get a lantern tomorrow," she promised. But her mind was already slipping downward, tracing the urge in her teeth. Under this dump, there was something heavier waiting, a secret old enough to have been forgotten. The hotel's bones had always hidden more than dry rot. The drive into Claymore had been an exercise in endurance. Near midnight, freezing sheets hammered the windshield. Her hands clutched the steering wheel, knuckles bleached, as she remembered the bank meeting 3 weeks earlier. Her bakery shuttered, loan default, debt stacking like tombstones. "We're closing your account, Mrs. Hayes. Without a cosigner, your loans are high risk," the manager had said, gentler than she could stand. Even worse, on the day of the property handover, Dale had sent her a blurry picture of the farmhouse with nothing but a one-word message: "Congratulations." He looked at her the way a hawk looked at torn feathers. "We can leave tomorrow, can't we?" Lily asked from the back seat. "Let's see how it goes," Alina replied, hiding the crack in her voice. After that, a call from an old high school friend, Lorna, had floated her a distant lifeline. "If you're short and need somewhere, give me a ring. I can help as much as I can." But pride swallowed her gratitude. Alina kept her finger away from the dial. As they settled into what passed for beds that first night, new dust on old linens, Lily hugging a faded stuffed fox, Alina could hardly sleep. Every floorboard groaned a different warning. At dawn, she wandered outside. The rain had scoured the last leaves from winding oaks beside the porch. Now in the light, the joinery along the porch floor was too perfect, the nails silver, not iron. She crouched, pressed a palm flat against one seam, and caught a draft sliding against her skin, cold and slightly sweet, tinged with metal. Lily, still in pajamas, stood at the door. "You're staring at the floor again." "Just thinking about how to fix it," Alina lied. Something didn't add up. Upstairs, she cracked open a hallway closet. Among broken shelves and warped hangers, a small red envelope caught her eye. It was tucked under a pile of coal-smudged ledgers. The handwriting was looping, confident, "To be opened by my granddaughter upon the contest of the will. R.B. Hayes." Lily's voice wafted up. "Everything okay?" Alina's hand shook. "More than okay, honey. I think we're just getting started." She slit the envelope with her nail. Inside was a page torn from a yellowed ledger, a set of directions: 12 paces from porch post, third board from east, floor lifts upward. And beneath the note, "Some gifts must be earned. Down is not always the end, sometimes it's the way through." RBH. Alina read those lines again and again, her tired heart prickling. Sleet drummed the roof, and somewhere inside the walls, water ran where it shouldn't. But possibility was kindling in her hands. It took an hour to gather tools: a broken crowbar, a steel spatula, an old lantern. The directions were precise. She counted her steps, found the right board, and pried it gently. It came away with a groan, dust and iron shavings sprinkling her knuckles. Beneath a trapdoor, hinges slick with old grease, her breath feathered. This wasn't just storage. This was a door to somewhere the Birchfields had never even guessed existed. She grabbed the lantern. Lily, watching, hugged her fox tighter. "I'm coming too." "Only if you stay behind me," Alina ordered, mouth dry with fear and hope colliding. Down the stairs, the cold thickened. At the landing, the single room yawned wider than any cellar had a right to be. The smell changed: coal, yes, but something else. Faint perfume, ancient cedar, and the echo of rain. Against the far wall, a faded tapestry hung at an angle, hiding another door that led, impossibly, to a staircase descending farther. They edged in, blinking. The stone underfoot was polished, patterned in green and beige marble, wholly unlike the house above. Lily fumbled with her phone, shining light. Doors honeycombed the wall, solid oak, brass handles dusted with age. A chill breeze wheezed from below, bringing whispers of the house's deeper bones. A whisper pulsed through Alina's head. What else had the Birchfields ignored in their race to take everything? She pushed open one door and nearly stumbled. A sitting room, frozen in time, Persian carpet muddy but vibrant, fireplace blackened but intact. Shelves of books, their spines creased with old initials, and a candlestick of real silver. On an old desk, a sealed tin box waited. Alina's fingers jammed at the latch, forcing it open with a spatula. Inside, paperwork, deeds, bank documents, yellowed deeds with the name Robert B. Hayes, her grandfather. And at the bottom, another red envelope, this one heavier, bulging with cassette tapes and a note. For my granddaughter. When the truth is denied, let the past speak in its own voice. Alina turned the tape over. The label, faint but clear, Birchfield Admission 1989. The room buzzed, blood hammering in her ears. Lily peered over her shoulder. What's that? Proof. Alina's jaw clenched. The pieces were coming together, a fortune hidden not in gold but in secrets too ugly for daylight. From the shadows, the hotel wasn't a ruin, it was a chrysalis. Mom, look! Lily had found another note tucked under the carpet. It bore the same initials, older, almost erased. Alina read it aloud. If the mansion below should come to daylight, all past due debts are to be settled with justice, not revenge. Remember, silence never shielded the innocent. She pressed the tape into her palm, hard, anchoring herself. They emerged, blinking hard, into the farmhouse kitchen just as the rain had begun again, coarse and relentless, like fate hammering at thin walls. Alina pressed her back against the door and squeezed her eyes shut. Hook 1 had been small, a hinge that shouldn't exist. Hook 2 was everything that followed, and it screamed in her bones, the mansion below. The Birchfields had picked the carcass bare and missed the real heart entirely. By morning, the mansion's dimensions were clearer, an entire basement system, with running plumbing, if rusty, faded frescoes, and a stockroom heaped with dry goods from 1938. But the cassette tape burned hotter in her pocket than any jewel. Alina shouldered her jacket, tape and letters in hand, and drove toward what passed for a town square. The air was bright, sharp. She braced herself at the edge of the only coffee shop left operating. Her old friend Lorna worked the counter there, red apron dusted with flour. Lorna caught sight of Alina and let out a low whistle, wiping her hands. You look like you wrestled a tornado, honey. Did you sleep at all? Not exactly. I need help. I found. The words trailed off. How do you explain a mansion under a ruin, proof of betrayal, all in one breath? She placed the tape and documents before Lorna, like chips in a game she had never learned to play. Lorna frowned, tapping the note. Birchfields gave you this. No, my grandfather did. The rest is complicated. Lorna's eyes narrowed as she read the letter, especially the phrase Birchfield Admission. She bit her lip. You need someone who can get this on the record. My cousin Reed runs the local paper. He's a bulldog, Alina. Used to run exposes for fun in school. Alina licked her lips, hope bloating near anger. Will he help if I have proof? Her tone was brittle but hungry. He hates the Birchfields. Lorna grinned, sharp, but hates lies more. Bring him the truth and he'll burn the rest down for you. Lorna scribbled a number on a napkin, pressing it into Alina's hand. Alina clutched the tape, ugly hope pulsing. Thanks, Lorna. Didn't think I'd be asking for help in this town again. Lorna's gaze softened. You spent your life making things for others. Let someone else hold up the sky now and then. With Lorna's introduction, Reed met Alina before noon in his workshop behind the hardware store. He was wiry, skeptical, but the moment he read her grandfather's note and eyed the tape, he whistled low. Your ex's parents ruined enough folks round here to stock a courtroom, Reed said, cleaning his glasses. You got a tape with their voice, we can finish them by supper. I'll fact-check every inch, but if it's legit, this'll go viral. Alina's hand shook as she thumbed the cassette. It's not about the money, they stole what mattered, Micah's memory, my daughter's future. Reed nodded, voice dry as gravel. Truth spits further than vengeance, Alina. Let's hear what your tape's got. As he loaded the cassette into a battered player, a soft thunderclap of panic rolled in Alina's chest. But when the tape hissed, a different storm broke. If you press play, you'll hear Dale Birchfield telling my grandfather they'd keep the house, run me out, empty the family trust, and hide every dime. They laughed, Alina said, teeth clenched. Far as I know, this is his voice. 1989. The tape played, static, then two voices, Dale's, raspy and young, her grandfather's, tired but steely. You're sure no one will know? Alina S. never had the sense to look under her own porch. And the will, they won't find the second copy. I destroyed every trace, Dale's voice crowed. Give her the dump. Let that be her reward for running off Micah. Let's see if she brags so loud when she's penniless. Reed whistled low again. Lord, that's cold. You willing to take this public, Alina? They left us here to suffocate. All I want is for people to see them for what they are. Reed pushed back his cap. Deadlines intense. Birchfield divorce finalizes in 58 days. They'll ring-fence every asset by then. We run this story, it's gotta be bulletproof. You trust me. Alina met his gaze, voice taut. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here. Just help me do it right. Reed nodded. Let's get to work. While Reed scrambled to verify, the Birchfields caught wind. Alina returned to the farmhouse that afternoon to find the porch light slashed, mailbox upended, a muddy boot print stamped on the kitchen wall. Her phone bleeped, one-word text from Loretta, bold, dangerous game, Alina. She dialed, anger sparking, you threat me in my own house. Loretta's voice was syrupy, laced with threat. You take what isn't yours, expect to pay the price. You push too hard and no one in this county will believe a word you say. Watch yourself. Alina pressed record on her own phone. It's already too late for threats, Loretta. The truth's coming out whether you like it or not. Loretta's voice hardened. No court'll save you, you're alone. Alina's voice was even, sharp as a single nail. Not anymore. She hung up, heart racing, every muscle set. The message was clear, step back or face their full wrath. But Alina was done running, she called Reed. They're spooked, if we wait too long they'll hide everything. Reed's voice was calm. Bring every document, meet me at the old town hall tomorrow at 9. I'll photograph, timestamp, cross-check. If the voice on that tape passes, we go wide by Thursday. The Birchfields can lawyer up, but the facts won't blink. That night, Alina combed every inch of the mansion's lower level. Among battered trunks and velvet boxes was another envelope, her grandmother S., with a list of client names, a ledger of rents that should have gone to her, and a photograph. Her grandfather shaking hands with a county official under the hotel's golden sign, date stamped 1935. She checked bank records, multiple rent payments, all siphoned off after Micah died. Accounts faded just as fast as her bakery's savings had when the Birchfields turned vindictive. At 3 a.m., Alina wept for the years stolen, not just her own, her daughter's, her grandfather S. But tears were burned off by the engine of old rage. The next morning, she met Reed in the echoing shell of the town hall, ceiling fan clanking overhead, morning sunlight knifing through boarded windows. He showed her the article's first draft, headlines bold. Birchfield Dynasty faces downfall, hidden confessions and stolen years unearthed. Reed passed her a recorder, voice steady. Take this. If Dale or Loretta says a word, get it on tape. We'll run full voice authentication. If they admit a single thing, their reputation's toast. The plan was in motion. Alina called Lorna, nerves jangling. I need a place for Lily just for a little while. This is about to get messy. Lorna agreed, her voice fierce. Nobody gets to shove you around anymore. Go finish it. The expose dropped like a match on dry prairie. Reed's digital release hit the county site first, then regional outlets. Local radio replayed the confession. Within hours, Alina's inbox surged with messages, half support, half venomous denial. She expected anonymity. Instead, at the market, heads turned. Some nodded, tentative, others glared as if she'd set fire to the county. At dusk, she found the farmhouse porch crowded, Dale himself, Loretta, and their lawyer, Mr. Gaines. The confrontation was war-painted on every face. "You think you can destroy us with half-truths and doctored old tapes?" Loretta's voice cracked, high and sour. Alina braced herself, feeling as brittle as the porch under her feet. "The town's heard your own words. This tape isn't fake." Dale stepped forward, trying to loom. "No court, no bank, no friend, nobody here will believe you over us. You're an outsider, always were." Alina jerked her chin, voice sharp. "Micah was your son. He left you nothing but a chance to atone, and you spat on it." Mr. Gaines stepped between them, drawling. "We're prepared to countersue, Miss Hayes. Defamation, invasion, trespassing." Reed emerged from the darkness beside the porch, recorder in hand, press badge glinting. "Mr. Birchfield, this recording meets standards for digital forensics. Voice matched. Want to speak on record." Dale sneered. "You think you know justice, you little rat." Reed deadpanned. "I know a confession when I hear one." The porch was a theater audience. Two neighbors who'd come for the commotion, Lorna at the corner and Lily peeking from a safe distance. Loretta rolled her eyes. "You're playing with fire, Alina. Family burns those who don't stick together." Alina didn't flinch. Family doesn't shove a daughter-in-law into the gutter and then call it love. A neighbor piped up, voice ringing. "Birchfields, you never liked the rest of us digging too deep, but some things need sunshine." Dale's mask slid, anger birthing panic. The local radio anchor's van idled at the curb, recording every word. Reed pressed play on the confession. The crowd leaned in, brittle silence crackling. Dale's voice, caught decades earlier, spilled its venom. "Give her the dump. Let that be her reward for running off Micah. Destroy every trace." Loretta gasped. Mr. Gaines choked, eyes darting. Alina stood motionless as the first lines she'd heard in the small room thundered back in surround sound. Dale rounded on Alina, voice breaking. "You think you've won? Play that tape and see what comes next." His voice shook, pride dissolving. "You don't scare me, go ahead, wreck yourself." She slid the recorder toward him, tone flat. "Press play, or are you afraid of your own voice?" He blinked, panic rising as cameras flashed, headlights blooming over the yard. "You always were desperate. This changes nothing," Dale stammered, his hands clenched. Her voice was an iron rope. "Do it, right here in front of everyone." Silence swallowed the porch, only reeds whispering under a night wind. The radio anchor leaned in. "You have anything to say, Dale?" Dale's mouth opened, closed, a fish gasping on dry land. Reed's voice was a blade. "This recording confirms fraud, theft, and perjury in probate filings. Local authorities and state asset recovery have been notified." Mr. Gaines backed away, realizing disaster. A neighbor muttered, "Let him answer for it all finally." Loretta tried to shout something, but her words stumbled, lost in the hush of people watching a dynasty collapse. Alina locked eyes with Lily, standing behind the doorframe, her daughter smiling for once without fear. And with that, the tape played again, the sound of old wounds splitting open and a ghost town waking up. The days after unfolded like dominoes. Reed's article was picked up by Des Moines Regional, then State News. Birchfield's construction business hemorrhaged clients. Loretta was axed from the bank's board. Their lawyer quit on ethical grounds. The county entered civil claims for back taxes and fraud. Dale vanished into the wallpaper. For the first time in 3 decades, nobody listened when he talked. Lorna invited Alina to stay on her property while the farmhouse was declared a historical site. Back payments funneled to Alina per the rebuilt will. the mansion's deeds finally in her name. The mansion's restoration took longer, but Alina threw herself into it. She chose her tenants carefully: single mothers fallen on hard times, a couple of retired miners with nowhere to go, and a young teacher newly arrived from Iowa City. Rent was capped, repairs prioritized, dignity restored brick by brick. On weekends, Alina's kitchen hummed again, not just with Lily's laughter, but with the kettles and mixing bowls of women who remembered debt, loss, and the razor wire of family betrayal. Some people said she'd gotten lucky. Others said she'd simply hung on until the truth couldn't stay buried. But Alina, standing on the same porch where it had all started, once given as an insult, now remade as a haven, knew luck had nothing to do with it. She had clawed back more than a roof. She had carved out a different shape in the ruin, one that let others in. Maybe what you inherit isn't always what you want. Sometimes, what you build from what's left is the true measure of who you were ever meant to be. If you've ever wondered whether grit could outlast decades of bitterness, let this be your answer. The world remembers what you leave standing. And sometimes, even ghosts learn how to come home. Sun rose over Claymore with a softness that felt new, fog coiling along the fields, dew limbing every shattered shingle and scaffolded hope. Alina woke in a bed someone else had slept in for 50 years, her own now, after a night spent listening to Lily breathe beside her, safe at last. The morning brought no fear, only ache she was learning slowly to call her own. Downstairs, Lorna filled the old kitchen with the clatter of plates. "You really going back there today?" she called, smile tight with concern. Alina set 2 mugs abreast, poured coffee, and offered one with a kind of gratitude that didn't need words. "I have to. County assessor's coming at 10, says he needs to document the historical upgrades." She rolled her eyes. Translation: everyone wants a look before I fix the hole in the parlor roof. Lorna grinned, soft as butter in August. "Bet half the county dreams of peeking under those floorboards. Never thought I'd see the Birchfield legend come apart." She paused, voice dropping lower. "You scared?" "I was," Alina admitted, thumbs tracing circles on her cup. "But not today. Today I'm too damn tired to be afraid." Lily slid onto a stool, hair mussed, wearing the fox like a shawl. "Can I help paint? You said we could do my room purple." "After schoolwork, I'll let you pick the color chips yourself." "Deal." Alina winked and Lily nodded, eyes lighting, something like hope, something that looked forward instead of back. By noon, the farmhouse yard was alive again. Builders from town unloading scaffolding, 2 city officials photographing the restored porch, and Reed wheeling in with a battered camera. Alina signed a dozen forms, showed the hidden staircase, no longer a secret but a symbol, and fielded officials' questions about her plans. A city clerk eyed the stone-walled cellar. "You'll have to file for both residential and historic status." "I plan to restore, not replace," Alina said firmly. "This place doesn't need erasing, just truth and a little light." Reed caught her arm outside, voice softer than she was used to. "You get that people are talking, right? Some are proud, some angry, most just don't know what to do with a Birchfield undone." Alina looked back at the house, its bones bared and mending. "I don't want admiration, I just want to belong." "You already do." He tipped his hat, nudged his camera toward the porch. "Get Lily to stand by you, take your own victory pictures, you earned them." Inside, boards creaked, echoing the hush after an old storm. Alina swept dust from the kitchen table, opened the battered hotel ledgers again, and spent half an hour penciling numbers beside old names, Birchfields, Hayes', tenants lost to memory. She made 2 lists, what was owed and what would be forgiven. Sometimes justice wasn't about getting even, it was about stopping the blade. Late in the day, as the house settled and the town returned to its own business, Alina climbed onto the porch with Lily. The horizon flared in orange and brass. Lorna arrived carrying a pie pecan, crust as thick as a promise. "Got something to show you both," Alina said, swallowing her nerves. She led them down the new stairs, walls cleaned, tapestry hung straighter, light pouring in through a dusty well. Over in the far corner, beside the shelf of cassettes and clippings, she gestured to a patched trunk. This is where the story almost ended, where it could have all stayed buried. Lily put her hand on the worn wood, but you didn't let it. Alina smiled, pride rough in her throat. We didn't. Then, more certain, whatever we do next, we build it above ground. Lorna nodded, eyes shining. You know, this is the first time I've felt like this mess could become something more, not just a wound. Alina took a breath, let it out slow. Maybe that's all we're ever given, the chance to turn wreckage into shelter for the next person who needs it. Outside, light flickered, dusk folding over battered beams and old mistakes. Through the window, neighbors began to gather, voices rising, not in accusation or suspicion, but laughter. Someone called out for Alina to join, a child's giggle echoed hers. She squeezed Lily's hand. Come on, time to meet the town as ourselves, no secrets left. Mother and daughter stepped through the ancient frame together, into a future that tasted, finally, like their own. Above them, the old hotel sign, long buried in the cellar, caught the last of the sun. Hayes House, gold paint glimmering, welcoming strangers and kin alike. This, at last, was home. Weeks slipped by, measured now by paint on fingers and laughter in rooms that once swallowed only dust. Alina got to know the Carpenters by name. Lily made friends, one tentative greeting at a time, until her stories spun through dinner times and across porch swings. There were nights when Alina caught herself listening for old footsteps, Dale's or her grandfather's, but only found the hush of ordinary peace, broken by the creak of settling timbers. The county held an open house, curiosity drawing neighbors, city folk, and news crews into the brightlit heart of the renovated mansion below. Alina stood at the top of the cellar stairs, a little stunned, as folks filed past cabinets lined with battered ledgers and walls now hung with old family photos. Hayes, not Birchfield, faces full of grit and contradiction. A woman Alina barely remembered from school stopped, squeezing her hand. You gave all of us something back, even those who thought everything was set in stone. She swallowed, unsure how to answer, until Reed, rocking on his heels, supplied, she just paid the debts that weren't hers. His smile was crooked as a lightning-bent fence post. Some folks ever think to ask what they owe. Alina met his eyes, voice steady. We all owe something, Reed, best to pay it forward. After the crowd left, Lorna pointed to the old hotel register, now open to a new page. What'll you call the first event, grand reopening? Lily piped up before Alina could answer. Welcome night, for everybody who never had a place before. Alina's throat ached around a sudden grin. That's perfect. On welcome night, Alina baked brown bread and apple cake. Lorna played piano. Lily handed out name tags with careful penmanship. The walls rang with voices, strangers, friends, the newly brave. No one mentioned the Birchfields now, not directly. Their shadow had faded, replaced by the sharper, cleaner edges of truth. Later, alone on the porch, Alina tilted her face to the stars. The fields shimmered, wild and silver, wind threading through the quiet. She thought of what she'd lost and what had been returned, dignity, purpose, a home no longer held together by fear. Lily's arms wrapped her waist. Are you happy now? She looked down and for the first time in years found only truth in her answer. Yeah, baby, I am.